Perfect. Thank you all for joining us this evening. My name is Nathan Frazee. I'm the project manager from the Boston Parks and Recreation Department, overseeing improvements to Winthrop Playground. Next. So as you just saw on the pop-up, this meeting is going to be recorded. So we'll be sharing that on our project website. So you can please be shared with any neighbors that weren't able to attend or might be interested in sharing feedback and seeing what was discussed. During the presentation portion, we ask that you keep your video and mic off. However, after the presentation, we'll have a discussion period. In the effort to make this more of an in-person meeting, if you're comfortable, we ask that you turn your camera on. No, you can go back one more minute. So with that being said, we want to ensure that this conversation is a pleasant experience for all and that the community members are comfortable sharing comments, questions, and feedback. So please be respectful and mindful of each other's time, as we are only here for an hour and a half tonight. So let's keep the questions and comments project specific and on point. And please wait until all attendees have had the opportunity to ask a question before you add a second comment or question. Additionally, my contact information will be at the end of the presentation as well as on this slide. So if you didn't have a chance to get any of your comments, you can be sure to send that to me and I'll incorporate that into the community meeting notes. Next. So I think we're all Zoom and digital pros at this point, but just a few Zoom tips. We'll be asking, as I mentioned, we'll be asking people to keep their cameras turned off during the discussion portion, the presentation portion. But once we get there, turn them on for the discussion. At that time, you can raise your hand, clicking the hand icon. When we see that up, our moderator will unmute you so you can ask your question. Also, if you have any questions during the presentation, be sure to keep those on, and we will activate the chat feature at the end, and we can share some information and discuss through chat as well. As I mentioned, we'll turn the videos on later. So that should be all of our housekeeping items. So next. Tonight's agenda is going to include an introduction to the design team, project overview, a presentation of the site analysis and opportunities, as well as listening and discussion. And then we're going to go to closing remarks and next steps of the project. Next. So as I said before, my name is Nathan Frazee. I'm the project manager from Boston Parks and Recreation overseeing these improvements. Christine is not able to join us this evening, but I have her contact information on the screen. She's an excellent contact for if there's any interest in establishing a friends group here. I also have Jashawn, who is from the Office of Neighborhood Services. So if there's any issues that don't directly pertain to the park, but maybe in the neighborhood, that's the appropriate channel to reach out to him. Next. Oh, sorry. And then also from our design team, we have Monique Hall from BSC Group. So for the project schedule, our first meeting is obviously tonight. We have a second meeting scheduled for January 17th. And then we anticipate a third meeting the following month. We're going to work through the design process with the goal of starting construction this summer with the anticipation of a spring 2023 opening. The anticipated funding cost of construction is $2.375 million, of which we received a $400,000 state park grant that was just voted on and accepted today. So that's a very exciting addition to the project. Next. So just looking at the big picture on what park design for our department consists of, there's a lot of things that we put into consideration, including including community input, such as tonight, as well as engagement with the community. safety and regulatory guidelines, City of Boston priorities, and parks and recreation goals. Next. So the City of Boston priorities include expanding walkable access to parks, addressing equity, climate resiliency, health, and housing and community building. Next. The Parks Department goals include accessible and available to all, diverse, balanced, and efficient mix of uses, meaningful, inclusive community engagement, adaptive and resilient landscapes, and promoting connections. Next. So looking at the elements of play, because we do have playgrounds here, there's 5 elements that go into play, the science of play. That includes social, physical, cognitive, sensory, and communication. Next. So this slide goes into a little bit of detail and has some examples of what each of those elements are. I'm not going to read verbatim because this is a lot of text, but it's going to be included in the presentation. But we're going to be using those key terms later when we're looking at the play options that we're going to be discussing. So I'll reiterate the categories later on as well. Next. So just looking at the history of this park, it was established in 1911. And the playground was last renovated in 2008, which is in our general timeline of how often playgrounds typically last. The basketball court had recently had crack and seal coating redone in 2020. From that project, we heard that the community would like the entire park to be looked at comprehensively. And based on that feedback, it elevated the project to a comprehensive design, which is where we are tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Monique, and she's going to go over the site analysis.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. My name is Monique Hall. I'm a landscape architect with BSC Group. BSC Group is a multidisciplinary engineering firm. We do landscape architecture, civil engineering, transportation, and planning. I'd like to start off by talking about the proximity of Winthrop Playground to other parks and playgrounds in the area. We see Winthrop Playground is located here in the center, and we see 2 concentric circles. The first circle represents a 1/4 mile or a 5-minute walk, and the outer circle represents 1/2 mile or a 10-minute walk. So within that 5-minute radius, there's a couple of other smaller playgrounds. There's a PFC Willis play area, the Quincy Street play area, and then just outside is Mary Hannon Playground, which I had the great fortune to work on alongside Nate in Boston Parks. And then within that 10-minute walk, there's a handful of other parks and playgrounds, including Little Scobie, Gertrude Hose, Dennis Street, and then just outside of that is Malcolm X. What this graphic really tells us is that the majority of the parks and playgrounds that are within close proximity are mostly play areas. There's a limited amount of sports courts and open field. I believe there's a basketball court at Little Scobie. Mary Hannon Playground has open field areas and basketball courts. And then outside of that, you really need to go to Malcolm X Park and Clifford Playground in order to get to Malcolm X Park. That requires crossing Blue Hill Avenue and several other large suburban streets. With regards to the site analysis, this is an aerial view. North on this view is up. And if we're looking at this image, at the top we have the John Winthrop School, and then adjacent the school in the center is a splash pad area, and that's flanked on 2 sides by 2 play areas. We have a smaller 2 to 5-year-old playground and a school-age playground for 5 to 12-year-olds in general. Just south of that, we have a basketball court and a tennis court. They're fenced on all sides. And then there's an open field area with some scattered outdoor fitness equipment. There's large light poles that light the area. And then the area is also flanked by sidewalks on 2 streets. So we have Danube Street to the east, and we have Dacia Street, I hope I'm pronouncing it okay, to the west. If we notice along Dacia Street, there's a large length of a purple line, and this represents a significant retaining wall. It's up to 10 feet in height, so that's kind of a barrier to access to the playground. This image also tells us that the path of the sun moves across the playground from east to west, and the prevailing winds are coming in from the west. This next slide shows pedestrian circulation through the park. The general access to the park is on either Dacia Street or Danube Street. So we have a series of 4 orange asterisks. So these are representing the entry points. We have one entry point on Dacia Street, and this point requires the user to go up through a set of stairs to access the park, which means that the accessible routes to enter the park where you don't have to use stairs are all along Danube Street. So there's 3 points that are shown with the orange asterisk, so 1, 2, and 3. With regards to accessible routes from Danube Street, if you want to access the school, the playground areas, you'd come in through here, turn north, and then make a U-turn kind of to access the toddler play area, which is a 2 to 5 age group. The splash pad is located in the center, and then you could go back to the west to access the school age playground, which represents 5 to 12-year-old play group. To access the fields, again, you would either come in from Danube Street and then head south, or you could come from the South Danube Street and enter. So that's pretty good access. And then for the basketball courts and the tennis courts, there's a single access point here. With regards to non-accessible routes, we have a series of small white lines. Those represents the stairs. So again, just kind of reiterating that the non-accessible route is off of Dacia Street. And if you want to access the playground from the school, you would use the school's accessible routes and then enter the sidewalks and then gain access at those areas. This is a bird's eye aerial showing just an overview of the park, and we've got a few images that depict the existing conditions. At the school age lot, we see that there's a limited number of play elements. We have a slide, we have post and platform, just a climbing element, and then we have another climbing element. So we're really limited to 2 play elements for the 2 to 5 age group. And then for the school age, the 5 to 12 age group, we again have the same post and platform play equipment. We have a few more activities, which are the monkey bars. There's a little kind of climber that you can slide up and down on. And then if we're looking at the rubber surfacing, we see that it's worn in some areas and darkened in others. With regards to the 5 to 12 area, we do note that this area is heavily shaded by some large trees. The tree canopy is very dark and dense. It does create a kind of a cove kind of element, and it can attract sometimes other activities other than schoolhouse play. The splash pad is located between the 2 play areas, and we've noted that the splash pad, it's limited to a single spray feature. There's not a whole lot of different spray elements there. With regards to the fitness equipment that's located throughout the field, it could be updated. For example, these parallel bars are quite narrow, and it'd be hard pressed to get some activity going on in there. And then with regards to the seating areas, there's benches and tables throughout the park. And then kind of the feedback that we're hoping to hear back from the community tonight is, do we like to have the seating elements scattered through the park? Is there a reason to cluster them? Are there other opportunities to provide seating elsewhere? What are the kinds of uses that we're really looking to provide as we move through this next phase of improvements at the park? Excuse me for a second. With regards to the surfacing, we know that the tennis courts were resurfaced within the last couple of years. That was just kind of a superficial kind of site improvement. I think we recognize that there are some drainage issues, there's cracking issues. There needs to be um, a little more done for this next round of improvements. We've discussed the stairs that are located throughout the park, but also with that, the basketball courts in their central location. Because it's a court sport, there are some high chain link fences, and that also blocks views throughout the park. And then we also want to note that the paving transitions could be improved, and some of the existing concrete infrastructure is crumbling. With regards to the outer edges along Dacia Street, there is a retaining wall that is leaning and is cracked. So we'll be looking to make improvements to that wall. At the other wall, it's in pretty good condition. We don't believe improvements are needed there. With regards to lighting, there is some lighting throughout the park that is the newer LED. There's also some older incandescent light fixtures. We will be doing a light assessment to ensure that we do get even illumination throughout the park and that all areas of the park are appropriately lit. With regards to the tree canopy, I think I noted earlier that some of the tree canopy is very heavy and maybe provides too much shade. So I think there's probably an opportunity to prune and limb up some of the trees and open up a little bit of sunlight into those play areas. We'll be looking to assess the trees. For example, where we have open wounds, that's an opportunity for infestation. We have some trees that are grown into fences. We have some trees that are dead, and so we'll be looking at the trees to make sure that if they're in a state of decline, they get removed before they pose any potential hazards in the future. With regards to play equipment, we really do like the post and platform kind of play equipment. At the 2 to 5 year old, the toddler age, we're looking to provide some more activities beyond just climbing and sliding. For example, we have spinning, we have balancing. We also want, where possible, to include equipment that is inclusive for all motor abilities. And Nate, do you want to say some more about the play equipment at the school age? I mean, at the toddler age?
Yeah. So again, going back to those 5 elements, which is social, physical, cognitive, sensory, and communication. Just looking at these pieces here, I have a 5-year-old who will not climb on ropes at all. So oftentimes, if there's a play feature that is just ropes, she ignores it completely and would, walk along and balance on a curb as opposed to the ropes. So with what we're looking at for possibilities and want some feedback is what you think you would want in the play space there. But we're also not looking at it as the play equipment is the sole source of play, but we're going to be trying to come up with some ideas on how can we have the entire playground space have play value to that, have spaces where children can gather, can communicate, can do some of these types of play and really kind of utilize the entire space.
So with regards to the school age play area, we think there's an opportunity to enlarge the play equipment itself so that we can fit more users on it. For example, we're seeing these kind of rope structures and climbing structures very popular, not necessarily with the smaller kids, but with the bigger kids. I think there was feedback for the provision of swings, and then having swings that are able to fit more than one kid at a time helps encourage group play. And then again, it would want to have as many activities and as many users be able to use the park as possible. So here we have a piece of equipment that involves balance and coordination. And Nate, do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, no, that was great. With speaking with about the swings, while I was flying, I got to see several kids, and that's one of the big things that the kids were asking for. Were could we get swings there? The footprint that swings take up is quite large. Oftentimes, with only 1 or 2 kids being able to use it at a time. So what we like the idea of this in this upper right corner, this what we call a dish swing, that like in this photo, you can see 5 kids on that one swing, which takes up the equivalent space of 1 to 2 swings otherwise. It allows for a lot of social interaction and communication. You can have multi-generational kids can ride it with caregivers. So there's a lot of value in that, and it really offers that opportunity that this park doesn't currently have. And then just looking at the rope structure here, in the upper left corners, obviously that's predominantly ropes. They have add-on features where you can balance on it, you can sit on it, you can slide on that. So again, we'll be looking for your input on what types of play equipment you may be interested in seeing in this space.
Thanks, Nate.
Yep.
With regards to the splash pad, we noted earlier that there's currently one spray feature, does not offer a lot of variety. The way the in-ground nozzles are being offered today, there's opportunity to have several different kind of stream types. You can have the upward types, you can have them side. There's even, this picture is kind of hard to see, but this kind of creates a tunnel effect where the kids can run through the tunnel. So we'll be looking to expand the spray features at the splash pad. And then moving on to the courts with regards to the basketball and tennis. So obviously there's a huge opportunity to resurface the basketball and tennis courts and eliminate the cracks. We do want to mention that we noticed that the tennis court has not had a net on it for several years. So the feedback that we'd like to hear from you is, is tennis wanted? Is there a need for volleyball? I know that during Nate's flyering, he did get a response that volleyball was desired. So that leads us into our next slide, which is that there's also an opportunity to do maybe some multi-sport courts. So we could do basketball, but also with that, is there an opportunity to do street hockey or soccer? And, we wouldn't necessarily do movable end posts, but is there a way to do an end post that's painted on the ground or does something that doesn't interfere with the basketball net, with the basketball post? And then if we're doing tennis, is there an opportunity to make that net go up and down, and then also do volleyball and or badminton? And then is there something else that the community would like to see? Is there a desire for pickleball? Is there a desire for gaga ball? I think this is really where we're really relying on community feedback to help maximize the usability of this park and playground. One of the things that we're seeing with lots of parks and playgrounds and courts is this opportunity to do a colorful toddler or a tyke track around the court. I know when I was a kid, like the big wheel was like my thing, but I could safely ride anywhere I wanted down my street and sidewalk. So in a dense and heavily urban area, you obviously can't ride your big wheel down the street and then, is the sidewalk even the better place, or is the best place within a fenced court area? So we'd like to hear that from the group as well. Fitness equipment. So we recently put in some new fitness equipment at Mary Hannon Playground, and we have this particular set, which is the magnetic bells, which is pretty excellent in that you can do, I think, like 60 different weight exercises, and it's all stationary. There's a mechanism which if you drop it, you won't be able to hurt yourself and drop it on your toe. And then on the signage, there's a bunch of activities just kind of illustrating, how to use the equipment. If you download the app, you can see additional exercises. If you choose to set up a profile, it will also track your progress, set goals for you, the whole 9 yards. So there's opportunity to either match some of the equipment that we have at Mary Hannon, or we could do something that's different so that we could have some, maybe Wednesdays is, a workout at Mary Hannon and Fridays is a workout at Winthrop Playground. That's just something to think about. There's a variety of exercises that you can do with the new play equipment, and we're super excited to be able to offer this into the area. With regards to park amenities and seating, I think we touched on previously that there is kind of bench seating and table seating scattered throughout the park. Is that the right approach? I think when it comes to bench seating, what we're doing nowadays is ensuring that the benches have arms and backrests for some of our elderly populations. I believe the playground has Wi-Fi, so there's an opportunity to do some tablets, so little side tables. And then when it comes to the actual table seating, we did note that there's some game tables out there. One of the ways we kind of upgraded the game tables at Mary Hannon was to incorporate the game table into the design of the actual table, incorporate the game pattern into the design of the table. So, you could do chess or checkers. I don't know. Is there a need for backgammon? There's opportunity to actually customize that so that it benefits the community in the way that the community would like to use the park. And then when it comes to the outer edges of the park, we have a couple of different types of fencing. So we have picket fencing at the play areas. We have chain link fencing around the courts and then also along the high retaining wall. And then we have some metal bollards at the edge of the field just to protect people in the field in case there's a runaway vehicle or such. But we don't necessarily have to stick to these types. Is there an opportunity, to open up some of these edges where it's safe to do so? If we can soften these park edges, does it make the park feel more inviting? So again, at Mary Hannon, we did a timber guardrail. If we don't need the guardrail, maybe it's just timber post, or maybe it's just something as simple as some granite boulders, which could also be kind of impromptu casual seating. And then finally, I know accessibility is something that we touched on previously, and where possible, we'd like to eliminate the stairs so that we have equal accessible routes for everyone. One of the things that we did at Mary Hannon was we provided accessible walks that don't require handrails. There's an opportunity to maybe incorporate some seating into the walls on the edges of these walks. And the potential to create some amphitheater style seating. So I think we have presented you with some food for thought. I'm going to ask Nate if you have anything else you want to say. If not, we're going to turn it over to the community portion.
No, that's great. One thing I want to clarify and is that earlier in the presentation, I said the second meeting was on January 17th. I misspoke and had that incorrectly labeled. It's the 19th. So I'll be correcting that on all of the flyers that are posted to the project website. With that being said, thanks, Monique. We're now going to move on to the input and discussions part of the meeting. So we're going to stop presenting. We already just did stop presenting. So if you're comfortable, we ask that you turn on your cameras so that we can see everybody. You can raise your hand with the little blue hand icon, and we will call on you. Once we finish, please be sure to remute yourself. I'd also like to acknowledge that we have Councilor-elect Fernandez Anderson on the call. So we appreciate her being with us tonight. And with that being said, let's start looking for some hands being raised.
And I did see it turn on, allow people to put on their videos, and I think you should have the ability to unmute yourself, but let me know if you are having trouble. And I think we have Mr. Green has his hand up.
Wonderful.
Thanks again for the presentation, and definitely
Here's the hand. Oh, right,
taking the time to review the park. I would like to definitely see what the options are. You showed us one layout, and to ask the community for ideas, being in a position where the park hasn't been renovated since 2008, I don't have anything to compare it to. So if I'm looking to say, you know what, this is what I would like, I definitely would like to be able to see what the other options are. I like the idea around making the Dacia Street entrance optional, where it can be, you know, if somebody has a wheelchair or has some challenges walking, that there's some discussion around creating a ramp for that, as well as the stairs. And yeah, that's some of my input for now. But yeah, definitely wanting to see if there's anything to compare it to.
Sure, thanks. So what Monique and her team will be doing is getting feedback from you all tonight about what is working well, what isn't working well. If any of the precedent images that we showed, if those are things you'd like to see here, and then they'll be working on actual design layout options that we'll show at the next meeting, so we can see how we can reconfigure the park, and hopefully we get a lot of input tonight on elements that they'll be incorporated into those designs. So great. And correct, sorry if I say this wrong, Iki, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think that was a great presentation. I definitely agree with making the Dacia interest a little more accessible, and I am a strong believer in the workout area being a little more modernized. That would be amazing. And yeah, I also agree with Stan with probably take a little bit more time and maybe another discussion within people within the community for us to actually sit down and maybe discuss other ideas. But I'm pretty sure that most of us would most likely lead towards a multi-purpose court for where the tennis court is. And if there's a way that we can actually have it so that the nets can be like even like pushed to the side, if they're able to be on wheels or something like that, that they can just get pushed to the side and then brought back whenever somebody wants to use it for that purpose. Because there's a lot of situations where nobody uses the tennis court. Like, I've been a resident of that community for over 30 years, and kind of grew up out there since I was about 3-4 years old, and I never saw. Let me take that back. I saw somebody use it one time when I was like about 19 years old, and I'm 33 now. And yeah, but just in case, you never know, we might have some Serenas hanging around somewhere that want to give it a try. So yeah, I definitely agree with what was Stan saying as far as us sitting down and actually getting like a view, or maybe like, I don't know, some type of layout that's more similar to how it would look in the actual park. I think that would be helpful.
That's great feedback. Thank you very much. When it comes to fitness equipment, are there certain exercises or pieces of equipment that you would use more than others? Or, we will definitely show more options for the next meeting, but we'd just kind of like to get a sense of what the community likes, so that we're not showing you options that are way off the mark.
Yeah, we actually have a few um, individuals that are a part of our community that are actually heavy with the fitness, Lou and Chuck. So I would say we probably have a discussion with them a little bit that can tell us a little bit more than what we would know. But as far as what I saw, I really liked what I saw, and I have been by the Hannon Park on Dudley Street, and I love what y'all have done with the with the workout machine part. I kind of don't understand how to use it, but I didn't really spend a lot of time really like looking to how to use it. I was just like, wow, this is good. So I definitely, from what I see, looks good, and I'm pretty sure Lou and Chuck would have even more input on that part.
TJ, would you like to go next?
Oh, yes, yes. Can you hear me? All right. I agree with everything those two gentlemen had just said, Stan and Nikki. Those the tennis court, he's kind of right. It's really not big, used that much. Every now and again, you'll find a few people come through and play a little tennis, but it's not an active side. Definitely, I mean, this is just out there too, like maybe another court on that side would be optional for the younger kids when the bigger kids are on the court. As far as the workout stations, just like at Hannah Park, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and something like that at Winthrop would be awesome as well. And as far as the benching and the tables, I just have a recommendation on those or suggestion. Is there possible to get like a 4 seating bench where there's like a round table for spades? Because I know spades is a big thing at the park, and when it's those cutoff benches where it's like 3, yeah. So maybe something like a 4 seating. But other than that, I like the layouts. The multi-court is awesome. So hopefully we can see more of the designs for what you guys got planned.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
love spades.
Yeah. Well, and so with those benches, some ADA compliance requires there to be a wheelchair accessible location on them, but that doesn't have to be every single one of them. It's a certain percentage, so we can certainly make sure that we're doing that and allocating that. I do want to acknowledge that the counselor-elect put her contact information in the chat feature. So if you're able to look at that, there that is. And I think she unfortunately had to jump on another meeting. We did have somebody contact through the chat. So I'm going to have PJ go, and then Jennifer, you'll be next.
Hello, this is Claudette. I am calling, well, I want to make a couple of observations. I really appreciate what you've done and you're showing us. I'm looking at the playground with the playground equipment. The way that you had the stations, how the play would interact with social and motor skills and so forth. And I think that's very good. I was looking to see that both sides of the parks, the slides, a merry-go-round, swings, seesaws, playground climbers, spring riders, and splash pad water play area, which you all talked about. We do need to update those things because they are really looking kind of very outdated. I was looking at places such as the Esplanade and the different types of things that they have there. I thought that they looked very, good, and I want to see things like that in our neighborhood. Also, with the team area, the basketball court and the tennis court, painted works of art, and I saw that you had a little bit of that on there. And there's Project Blackboard.org that does stuff like that. And I don't know who you would do the art, or even if you could put quotes or so forth on the courts and so forth. Yes, I do believe that the tennis court is practical. The reason why we don't have a tennis court and why you do not see the nets up is because people take them down, and we used to get I'm sorry, the tennis, sportsman tennis to come in the summertime and help out with the kids and stuff like that to teach them how to play tennis. We also have Tent City that we could probably contact and have them come out and so forth in the summer so that kids can have something to do. I know when I was growing up that there were a lot of things that went on in the summertime during Kevin White's era, that we were able to do so many different things up there in the summer for the kids. So I had a great time growing up in this area. Now the new workout equipment, I think that's important because what we have is not, is very outdated. And I did like what you were showing that at the Mary Hannah, I believe it is. So then we're looking at a garden area. I was looking for the senior citizens like myself to have a seating area, like where we can read a book or crochet or, you know, do whatever, you know, senior citizens do. A trash and recycling combo bins, and also looking at a dog park, which might be a separate area, because what happens now is that people walk their dogs and the dogs do what they do. And sometimes we're not seeing people poop or scooping their poops. So therefore, then you have kids coming out to play in that area and stuff like that. And I believe that's unsanitary. Also, the park lights need to be upgraded to LED lights, needed to at the Dacia Street entrance of the park, because we need more lights there, more lighting area there. Accent lights for after dark safety around Children's Park. And we need to check the health of the safety of trees, which is what you said earlier, which is really good, and I appreciate that. On the wall, you also mentioned the wall on Dacia Street that is falling towards us to the street. So therefore, it will. I'm glad that you have that on your radar to be taken care of, repaired. And also down here by my area, there is a piece of the wall that has been cracked for a number of years, and no one has fixed it yet. So there is a piece that is a chunk that's been taken out of a corner. So I would like to mention that as well. So that's, oh, and also we want a nice color scheme. So we're looking like royal blue, purple, orange, some colors that pop and so forth, so that kids can, you know, really get into it, you know? And so that's basically what I would have to say. And I think that you all are on the right track. I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you, Claudette. That was a lot of information, a lot of helpful information. And again, we'll be incorporating those in the notes and trying to incorporate that in concepts we bring back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for showing the design of the playground. I do like the open concept of the playground, and if we can kind of eliminate more of the fencing, and you know, so it doesn't look like, okay, around the basketball court, it's boxed in, like, you know, pretty much there in a cage. And also, you mentioned the fitness equipment, and you only gave an example of Hannon Park, Mary Hannon Park. Are there other neighborhoods that you have redesigned that you can bring that to the next meeting, that you can show pretty much designs there, so that we will have more options as in fitness equipment? Because it's like, you know, the park should be more multi-purpose for not only from age toddler to age 12, but also because parents are actually attending, are bringing their children, or parents and guardians are bringing their children to the park. They they also need workout. So that's why just wanted to find out about that. And you mentioned that the cost of the project is estimated cost is 2.375 million. And there's a grant of 400,000. So is this project, the funding wholly secured, or you're still raising, or it still needs to be paid for?
So we had the 400,000 is secured. The additional money that we're so that 2.375 includes the 400,000.
Okay.
Of that money, we are seeking capital funds. We anticipate getting capital funded to make up the rest of that money.
Okay, good to know. And with that capital funding, you still think that with that project timeline, you still be on
Correct.
target
Yep.
for
Yep.
completion?
Yep.
Okay.
So some of that with that state grant money, there is time stipulation on it, so it's in everybody's best interest to meet those.
Totally get it, understood. And I do also like, as far as with there is too much space for a swing, that the traditional swings that we do see in the past when I was at the park, but I do like that swing where it's like many people can get on it, as well as the ropes.
Mhm.
Because I've seen so many ropes course, so it's it's good concept, but I would like to see where there's been other parks in other neighborhoods where the attendance has been very successful, or many have gathered in there after the redesign.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Dina, I think you're next.
Hi, I can't see you guys. I don't know. I've been fumbling and bumbling. I just want to say hi, everybody. And I just, yeah, I'm glad to be on tonight, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and taking your time out to speak to us. I live directly across from those stairs on Deisha Street. So I see and have been here. I'm the first house on this end of the street. So I've been here for 18, 19 years now. So I have been watching a lot of, a lot of the activity on the street. And I would definitely like to support the color scheme so that it's inviting. This park is not inviting. It's pretty scary to me and to definitely to a child. So there's definitely, I'm so happy that we have the funding now to get and have the attention brought upon it, along with the wall, just the whole look. The wall that's falling. It hopefully that there's a nice face that is included with the wall, not just repairing the wall, but also I would like to see speed bumps, because if we're gonna now make a nice park, then we have a lot of speeding going up and down this end of Dacia Street. So I think that for safety, we're gonna need some speed bumps, because the children will just run into the street to go to the park. If that could be included also for safety. I do support the royal blue, purple, orange, and like a Kelly green. That's very attractive. I know that I didn't have time, or like we weren't paying attention to like what color is the landings gonna be on the jungle gyms, what color is the posting gonna be. But I know that is important as we build, that we definitely see, have a view, and that maybe we can come together and be like, yeah, that's very attractive. I think that's very important. I don't really support too much a swing that has multiple people on it. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of things. It could start like fighting and stuff like that. I don't support that type of swing. Or that, we would just have multiple, multiple ways to swing. Maybe, one of those, but not just that. I don't support that. I don't really support the rope thing. I don't think that, like it suits a multitude of ages. It only supports, older children that, are going to be swinging and are intimidating to younger children. So I don't think that it's going to benefit a lot of our children. But this is just my opinion. So I would like to see the tradition of more of the traditional park. I think that, it's always worked, and I believe that it will continue to work. With just the like different age, apparatuses, as far as a swing for a child that you're locked in, swings, just regular swings, or that you have like jungle gyms for climbing, stations for educational development, different things. It's not just swinging and sliding. I love the concept for the sprinkler pads. That is in your display. That is something that I have brought in my grandson, my nieces, and my nephews to different areas in Jamaica Plain and have you. That is like probably the most fun thing that they do in the park, because we're in Boston and they're really not going to be playing outside in a playground in this type of climate. So we are definitely trying to probably cater to the warmer climate as far as the park is concerned. So I'm big on the sprinkler, the setup that you guys have. That was great, and the different types of sprinklers and easy access, so that when you touch the wall or something like that, the sprinkler just comes on easy, just like some of the other parks in like Jamaica Plain and stuff that I know probably all of us have seen and enjoyed, including myself, because I like the sprinklers too.
Right, sure.
Yeah. I would like to not just have or cater to the basketball court. It's very important, but we also like to do things in the park. So I don't play cards and stuff like that, but I know that's good for people. And basketball, I love it. I love sports. I love all sports. But I also would like to see like maybe a walk, a walk, so that we can walk around the park like a walk pad, or you can ride your bike around the track like a track. I would like around the circumference of the park or something like that. Or like you can have like fitness out there. I don't know how to like pull myself up on a bar and like stuff like that. Like, we definitely need to know how to do certain things, but we're not, most of us, I think, like the walking, the riding the bike, the walk pads, I think that those are really, really popular. And we like to get out and walk and just, or ride a bike and have it like color coded and just, inviting to want to come out there and like walk around, just get out and walk. That's always good. Or, do an exercise, or an aerobics or whatever it may be. I think that the tennis court is great. The only reason why you don't see people playing tennis is because there's no net. And again, it's not attractive. I know that the basketball court has been repainted and it looks attractive. I think it looks good. I don't know what if we need like fencing and stuff like that. I'm gonna stay away from that. My thing is just basically that to make it look attractive so that people will want to come and that feel safe or that, it's inviting. I think
Sure.
that that's very important.
Yeah.
The
No,
lighting is very important.
that's all great feedback. And I think we'll take that into account. And when we're coming back with concepts at our next meeting, we'll show how we can kind of incorporate some of those and see how that can be adjusted. Did you have anything else, Dina?
No, I just and and we'll speak more, as it develops. As it develops, we also have another wall with a mural. I don't know if you guys know about that. It's like the other side of the wall
Yes. Yep.
along the park. So I know that the city year kids or city year, they're the ones that painted that mural. The mural is beautiful, but it's faded. It needs to be done over. It's
Yep.
not.
And
It's
so I've
like,
already actually reached out to the mayor's mural team to look into that and see what they can do to potentially preserve or do a new iteration. But that's their specialty is coordinating and working on the murals.
oh, you already thought of that. Thank you.
Yeah. So
So
I do also want to comment on we've had a few comments in the chat as well about the speed bumps, because those aren't specifically in the park. We as the Parks Department don't have the authority to do that, but you can certainly raise those to the ONS representatives and your elected officials, and that can be the avenue that those are pushed to get those done. Stanley, I'm going to go to Kay real quick since you already spoke, but I'm just making sure and then I'm going to do Lewis and Stanley. Does that sound good?
That's fine.
Perfect. You got a call anyways.
Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Thank you. And it's Kai.
Hi, sorry about that.
No worries. I kind of want to piggyback off of everything, what everybody said. I think for me, it would help if I have a 4-year-old, and for us, it's whatever is attractive. So the color is important. And what's in the park is also important. So one of the major parks, like I'll drive around and look for a park, and it's kind of based on what she likes. But like the one I can think of right now off the top of my head is the Harambee Park. That's like right there near the Boys and Girls Club, near Talbot. That kind of has a little bit of everything, given it's really big. It has a little bit of everything. So it has that multi-use kind of like swing. It has the basketball court. I think it has a tennis court. It also has a little workout station. It also has it has regular swings. It has different slides. And there's also like, I think the setup is really important to kind of see. Because we can say kind of like what's important to us, but then when we see it, it may not actually like look right or like be appealing. But I think it's possible to kind of, cater to everyone. Something I will kind of add on is to maybe have an area for the kids to like draw like with chalk or something, like a designated area for that. In combination of like everything else. So the multi-use basketball court, slash tennis court, whatever the case is, I think maybe if the nets wind it up or something like that, I don't know if that's possible. The ropes, my daughter, it kind of depends on your child or, what the kids like to do, but my daughter likes to climb on that. She enjoys the challenge. So I think trying to have maybe, I don't know, maybe have it be a certain height or something like that, that kind of, doesn't make younger kids feel as intimidated, I guess, because like the really large ones obviously would make them feel intimidated or scared to try it. But I think maybe if it's at an average height, that it's not enough to cause chaos on the playground or for someone to get scared or anything like that. But I feel like overall, like the colors matter of what is used and just kind of make it more welcoming and comforting for everyone. And again, like with the parks that I usually visit are between Dorchester and Jamaica Plain. Having the tables, like multi-use tables, that's a really great idea. And I think implementing like the games on the table, that's also helpful. And then like the gentleman said earlier, about adding like maybe some tables, like having 4 chairs, I think that way everybody across the board can kind of get catered to, and then feel comfortable. And that way we're not like, you know, just stuck with one specific style that's there.
Is it all good feedback? My
Yeah.
5-year-old won't go back to Harambe because she got stung by a bee there, and so,
Oh,
so she's
Aw,
done with that part.
sorry to
But
hear that.
it's,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's a really good example of that. Like you said,
Yeah.
kids make an opinion on a park, and so it's really important that even at, you know, to a 4 or 5-year-old, that the park is attractive and exciting, and gets them, you know, wanting to go there. So that's definitely things we can incorporate and make sure we're doing. So I think what we'll probably do at the next meeting is we can actually come up with some color schemes and we can present those. Typically, you know, they're in compatible relationships and everything, and so we can see what the community likes on that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
My son's name is also Kai, and we do drive to different playgrounds for different activities. And you know, when he was younger, he liked one thing, and now that he's older, like the taller, the scarier, the better. But
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. That's why I think she likes Harambe, because sometimes she starts with the bigger stuff, and then if the bigger kids are there, she'll kind of gradually go over to the other areas. And they have like this metal, the metal slides, and it just all rolls down. It's really painful, but really fun for them. Like there's just things like that. And I think just having the rubber mats and things to climb on and things to turn on the wheel, like just to cover all the bases. And I think it's the sizing of things that kind of also plays into it along with the colors.
Very good. Lewis, I think you're next.
Hi everyone. Actually, I just came back from Mary Hannon Park. I love the workout station. I've been there every day since they opened. I love that station with the Harambe Park setup. Honestly, I think that would be great. I grew up in Winthrop Park. I moved around here since I was 6. I'm now 36. I would say tennis court was kind of useless, whether the net was there or not. I would say put another basketball court, because that eliminates a lot of arguing for the court, because it's one of the major issues. These guys, everybody wants to play basketball, all the ages. So when the kids are playing, when we come around and we want to play, so there's always an argument for the court. The lights, back when growing up around here, the lights used to come on automatically, or we at times we would have access to turn the lights on and off. That would help. Like right now, walking home, it's dark over there. And that's another reason why I go to the Hammond Park now, because the lighting, even now that it's dark early, the lights, I can still go out there and work out, no problem. And yes, the colors of the court as well, that's another issue. And I think the sprinklers, they should keep that. I love that part. Growing up as a kid over there, I loved the sprinklers, especially when it was hot. Me and my cousins would always run through the sprinklers. But yeah, now as an adult, I'm pushing for the fitness station, honestly. Like the Hannon part, the park, Mary Hannon Park, that's perfect. Like, I love the pull-ups and dips and all that other stuff. And like I said, I've been there even 20-degree weather this past weekend. So I love it. So I would push for that. And
Since
something similar like a track too to walk around or either like jog around, because that one it does seem like it has a track, but it's not like the material to run on actually, because I run marathons too, so that material is not good for your knees to run on, but something along that lines of a track around there. But that's all. That's my 2 cents.
So I have a couple of follow-up questions and anyone can answer. But since you use the Mary Hannon fitness equipment on a daily basis, would you like to see the same equipment? And then is there equipment that's not there that you would like to see? And actually 3 questions. And then the third question is the fitness equipment better clustered or spread out and having stations throughout the park the way it's set up right now?
So I think it's perfect, just the way it is. Only thing me and my friends were complaining about is like the dip bar is too low, but we love that everything's close to each other, not like the park in, I think in Dorchester High, that everything's like separated from each other. We don't like that. So everything's like clustered together in this, that way you don't have to go do pull-ups here and then walk down there and go do dips and so on and so on. So we like that right there is the perfect setup.
Can I ask a follow-up to the follow-up question? Sorry. I know you've been to Harambee and there's a fitness station near the play area. There's also a fitness station on Westview Avenue near the behind Sportsman's near the football area. Have you been to those and that kind of a circuit where there are clusters along? I mean, and Harambee is a much different scale than this, clearly. But is that, there's several pieces of equipment in one area and several pieces of equipment in another area.
That's the same way that they have at Dorchester High.
Yeah, at
the same
Roberts.
exact way.
I think there's just one piece of equipment at each station at Roberts along that.
But it's like when we're working out, we'd rather everything be right there. Especially like I said, I'm working out in the winter, no matter what.
Yeah.
I prefer outside, so I don't want to have to walk over here, over there. At least over here, everything's right there. The pull-up bars there. And another thing somebody said, it was like, oh, we would rather more than one pull-up bar. Because like there's a park on Quincy Street in Blue Hill Ave. That's where I normally would go to. And like that pull-up bar has 4 different bars. Like, so if kids do want to come, there's different heights too, not just one, so stuff like that.
That's great info. Thank you.
Yeah, super, super helpful. I think we're looking at court options. Some of the things, we do have some courts where we actually have done basketball and tennis over top of one another. It forces it to 2 half-court basketballs. Oftentimes you see the little kids playing on those. That way it becomes less of a conflict of users. The other thing that does is it allows tennis, basketball, pickleball. You can also include some goal options. So it diversifies the use of that court. So that's something we can certainly look at if we think that would be a good use here, could alleviate some of the pressure as well as make more opportunities for the younger kids to play.
And I mean, another thing, it's because now we have a basketball league during the summer that Stan has and some other guys from the neighborhood. So another court would actually help for not only if we want to have 2 games at a time, but also if the kids that don't play in the league, because it's a men's league, let the kids still have their space to play, So I think that's one of the main things everyone around here, we always scream about, like, why is this tennis court here? We end up just bringing our grills there and grilling in that area, honestly.
Well, that's a good point. Is there
honest.
need to be a grilling location now too?
Yeah.
Some space for that maybe too. So when you do that, you do that in the tennis court? Do you bring like chairs and tables and stuff?
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't even use, you know what I'm saying? So if it was another basketball court there, it would be put to use.
Sure.
So
one thing we'll also be looking at, and like Monique had pointed out, is that right now that's smack dab in the middle of the park. It dictates a lot of use around that, has tall fencing. So we do have the opportunity with looking at this as a comprehensive site to the opportunity of moving things around, reconfiguring the site so that, you know, maybe that doesn't become such a prominent feature in the middle of the park. Maybe it could move to one of the sides and allow more of an open space in the middle. Those are all things that we're going to be considering as well. So, great, thank you. Stan, we've had you on hold for a while now, so.
No, that's fine. You know, because I'm always in your ear about this stuff anyway. Now, when that section of the park where it's just empty, it's a lot of spacing.
So, sorry,
And-
let's just, are you
Okay.
talking the opposite side of the playground area that's just open lawn?
Open lawn.
Okay, yeah.
Now, is that also something that's going to be included in the renovation?
We are looking from the school edge to each street edge to the fence edge. So the entire park is under consideration.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be a soccer field. Is there a need for soccer, right?
I was thinking about the court because that's an option, because outside of this, I do family counseling. So I've seen the increase in the urban community with soccer. You know, prior to COVID, the numbers were growing more and more. So soccer was a hot topic. Baseball's been starting to come back up as a hot topic. So, you know, those are, when you're looking at a multi-purpose court, just if they've got any designs that factor in how to incorporate some of those popular activities that's become more popular around that. And like, I think somebody said it earlier, when looking at the material to make sure that for people like Lou that runs marathons, that, you know, when they're talking about that walk path and what that would look like, and when you're looking at taking the fences down and maybe putting bleachers in there or something, like you're talking about, making it more park friendly and accessible for other people that will want to visit the park. Because looking at between the lighting and that other space that's open, not sure how, you know, when you think about the design of the park, how they isolated the park, the tennis court, and left all this green spacing. What was that? What was the intentions of that? And how can, you know, we upgrade it where we incorporate that so it's not kind of like isolated on its own? A grilling station, because in the summertime we do grill. We do a lot of grilling. So, you know, a section for that. You know, where it does have some sitting areas. I don't know if it's going to be in that green area, but some sitting areas where we can engage each other, interact with each other, and seeing the growth of that park in that area. I think it'll definitely be, we're in the right season for that to take place. So that's something too to factor in with those designs, because between Harambe Park, Mary Hannon Park, and some of the different designs and the stuff that stimulate the kids to want to engage in those activities, how do we take a bit of piece of it here and there? And, you know, I know for smaller kids, they like the climbing, they like going through the tubes and all those kind of things. You know, how do we, you know, if there are options for designs that incorporate, you know, include those kind of things, to give them enough time to wear out some of that energy. So, you know, when the parents go home, it's not a challenge. But, you know, it's those kind of things that just putting out in there in the air. I don't know what it may look like, but it's something to put out there.
Yeah, we can definitely look at having, you know, those multi-purpose spaces that can serve those different users. And because it may be soccer today, it could be a different sport, you know, in a few years, it could be that interest change. So we want to have the spaces that, you know, are certainly diversified and allow those options. I'm not sure, we'll definitely look at the spacing and everything. Not sure how a track type would necessarily fit on this site. We obviously are a little tight, as well as, you know, a lot of mature trees that we don't want to damage. But we can certainly try and see what we can accommodate for either a walking loop or something that may incorporate those options. There was a comment earlier in the chat about safety. I think like we're talking about creating spaces that people will gather and want to actually have events. I think that will help bring a lot of positive use and users into the park that can really activate it and drive out those activities and make sure they don't come back. So we'll definitely look at, you know, gathering location options, both with, you know, picnic tables, things like that. I do in the chat, I'm gonna post the project website. So that link there, tonight's presentation, as well as our meeting notes, are going to be posted there. I'm not sure if I have people's contact information when you registered. So if you want to follow along and be sent links for future meetings, if you could, in the chat feature, send it, you can send it directly to me if you don't feel comfortable. That's just when you're typing it, you can send it to everyone or directly to me. So you can do that. Or you can certainly send it directly to my email, which I'll put in the chat as well. I'm just looking at time. We have about 10 more minutes. So is there anybody that hasn't spoke that would like to? Looking around. I don't see anybody. Perfect. I see contacts coming in. Perfect. Great. Thank you, Stanley, for sharing and spreading the word. So as I mentioned, our next community meeting is going to be on January 19th. If you send me your contact information, I'll be sure that link is sent directly to you for that. We'll be flyering the neighborhood as well as putting flyers on the park. We'll be looking for, at that meeting, we'll be bringing some concepts. Monique and her team is actually going to put pen to paper and come up with some design options that look at incorporating a lot of the feedback and comments we got from you guys tonight. We'll come with more specific options on play equipment as well as courts, and we can start to talk and really fine tune exactly what the community is looking for here and making sure that we're delivering something that meets those goals. Oh, I see some people are coming back into the waiting room. So is there any other comments, questions? Is there any group you think we didn't reach tonight that we should be including in the community meeting? With that being said, Luz from DSNI is on as well. So we reached out to them. They've provided input and helped spread the word as well. We reached out to the school, spread the word as well. So we just want to make sure we're getting as much feedback and reaching everybody as much as possible. And I'm not seeing any hands, so I'm going to take that as we're on the right direction.
There are some hands. Hold on. There are some hands.
There they are. Perfect. Patricia.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
I've been living over here for over 50-something years. The park has been improved a lot, but the part that I want most is where you go walk the dogs. They should have an area for them to be walked. So we sitting out there in the park having picnics, playing spades, and people come along walking their dogs while we sitting there. I don't think that's a good idea. That's not cool.
Certainly.
And on the tennis court, I never seen nobody use that tennis court since I've been living over here. And I live right across the street from the park. I live in the brick buildings. And nobody used that tennis court at all. And if they do, when they used to come around back in the day in the summer, they used to come and put the nets out for it. Somebody comes and steal it. Just like the nets on the basketball hoop, they used to steal those too. So I see a big improvement in the park.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to play tennis when the nets disappear, huh?
Yeah,
Um,
it needs to go.
Okay, okay, good feedback. Lois?
Luz also has
Luz,
her hand
sorry.
raised.
Sorry, a little bit of internet disconnection here, but I just want to thank Nathan for reaching out and giving the community the right to speak, and what you all bring in is for me is a good thing, but you know, having community input is our process, and I greatly appreciate this time and the opportunity for the invitation and to hear what people really want to see in the community. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I would have participated more, but unfortunately, BPDA scheduled a meeting that was going to be impactful on a butter that's near this park at the same time. So if I can get the presentations, I'll send it out to other neighbors who actually chose to help support a neighbor that was going to get infringed upon. And we'll get their feedback. And we also had reached out to the school, and we will continue to reach out to other folks as well regarding this.
Wonderful. So it'll be a few days, but the meeting presentation will be posted on the project website as well. So it'll, as well as the recording of this meeting.
Okay,
Monique
thank
and
you.
her team will do a written note summary, and that will be posted as well. So
Thank you.
feel free to share that with as many people as we can, and they can view all of the input tonight, as well as what was presented.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If for whatever reason you weren't comfortable speaking tonight, you certainly can send me any notes or comments you had on the presentation or the park, and we will work to incorporate those in the community meeting notes. Hold on, I just saw one comment. Multi-purpose courts have something like a cover. We can certainly look at what that cover may be, so we can look and see about that. Great. All right, without any other comments or questions, I'll adjourn the meeting, and I look forward to seeing you all in January when we have some concepts. Hope everybody has a nice, safe holidays, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.